is my 17th birthday. I'm celebrating it here in France, and this year's just been so amazing. This past year, 16, it was magical, and I think there's no better way to celebrate it than to just press play. Tomorrow, I turn 17 years old. 17! That's freaking insane. 17 years on this earth alive. That's 6,209 days here. Every one of today, 6,200 times. When I really think about it, I'm still so young, and that just makes me absolutely giddy with excitement for what's to come in my life. However, as I also think about it and reflect, it reminds me just how much time flies and how every moment is fleeting. It's so important to be grateful for what we have right now because it's all impermanent. Think about that. That is only 6,200 days.
What?
Like, that's not that big of a number. Alright, dude, let's go. Today marks the end of my 16th. And that's really weird to think about for me. Over the past year, I've accomplished so much. I've seen so many new things, had so many new experiences, and honestly completely changed the way I think about the world and my life. And I couldn't be more grateful for it. So, without further ado, thank you,
Jack!
16. Here's a story of my past year. I hope you enjoy. The morning of my 16th birthday, I woke up at 5 a.m. sharp. I got up, went downstairs, and hopped on the exercise bike. I knew that if I started the year off with discipline, I was more likely to continue this way. At about 9 a.m. on my birthday morning, my mom picked me up at school where I was working hard and brought me to the DMV where I got my license. Everyone always talks about the year of 16 being the year of freedom because of the newfound ability to drive, but I really didn't know how right they were until I got my license. A few weeks later, for Christmas, my grandma generously gifted me her old Prius. And in that car, the memories I would go on to make were just amazing. It was the color of poop, my friends jokingly said, and they said I had a mom car. But I couldn't have been happier. It was perfect, and I immediately fell in love with what I named the Crag car. But the next few months, I started to realize that my greatest joy came in doing things that are difficult and overcoming the voice in my head that tells me not to. I stayed absolutely dedicated to my early morning schedule highlighted on my birthday, and I spent most of my time after school in the climbing gym.
Alright, too clean, baby.
Every once in a while, I would take the Crag car and I would drive Nathan and I out to the woods where we would go rock climbing. And those are some of my greatest memories from the winter time. We had one specific adventure where we ended up hiking in 4 miles where we didn't have to, but we were not smart enough to know about the other parking, and ended up climbing for about 2.5 hours on a cold winter day after an hour-long hike on probably some of the worst boulders I've ever touched in my entire life. But we had fun all the same because that's just our attitude and that's how we do things. One other adventure I had was a fun baseball camp in Florida.
Got it!
Throughout the winter months, I walked a lot at the climbing gym and ended up making a good amount of money for the first time in my life, which was pretty fun. It was also the first time in my life where I wasn't currently involved in a sport that was taking up my time after school, so I really had time to figure out what I wanted to do and what made me click. That that is one reason why those winter months were so formative for me, because they allowed me to really find myself.
Get out, Jack! Run!
The next big chapter of the year involved baseball. Now, for about my entire life up to this point, baseball had been my number one priority. I lived, breathed, and slept baseball. I was an entire encyclopedia, able to spit out facts and stats of just about anyone who played in the past few decades. Honestly, it was pretty cool and showed that one consistent thing about me is that when I'm into something, I go all in. However, what I didn't understand through it all was the massive quantity of anxiety and unhappiness the sport actually brought me. When I was younger, I would come home after every game crying, and when I got older, the feeling didn't really change, but I just kept it in better. My freshman year season, I started off with a lot of hope, but I ended up not playing at all. I was absolutely devastated. After freshman year, with the help of my family, mostly my dad, I figured out that baseball didn't truly light me up in the same way that I thought it did. In fact, it was the cause of most of the stress in my life. As I knew that I was going to be in France next year, I made the decision to quit summer baseball. I called my coach while I was on a vacation with my family, and it's fair to say that he was pissed. This was one of my first experiences where I really had to disappoint someone that I greatly respect and put myself first.
Oh, nice shot,
I couldn't budge when tactics such as guilt are used on me, and I really learned that putting myself first is one of the best things that I can do for both me and the people around me. Immediately, I felt a weight lifted off my shoulders, and I could not wait to explore the new possibilities lying ahead of me. I still played baseball for the school that season, and I ended up having the most fun of any sports season ever. Me and one of my best friends were the captains of JV together, and I played all game every game. I played so well this year, and with an amazing team atmosphere and an awesome coach, we had a blast. When I got the MVP for the season, there were both emotions of excitement and sadness inside, as I knew it was almost a happy ending to a chapter that I'm not sure I'm quite ready to close.
Good ball. Nice rip, Jack.
When baseball wrapped up, it became summer in my eyes, and this is where the story changes a bit.
Josh liked that joke. Okay, so basically, first move, which I got second go my first go round, had been giving me hell. Okay, so I've been getting it.
Last summer felt magical.
I go to get my left foot up.
Even before it started, I knew that it was going to be a special time in my life. When school got out on June 21st, I had just over 2 months until I left for France on an exchange for 10 months. Up until this point, I don't think that the looming date had too much of an effect on my life. But during summer, it definitely did. It was hard to ignore. I felt more present than ever, and I really had the urge to soak up as much love from my friends and my family as possible in those 2 months. The first days of summer were spent outside rock climbing, and despite swarms of mosquitoes and too hot conditions for anything hard, it was freaking awesome.
Perfectly. Come on. Move those hips. Try hard. Yes, Jack. You're on a few. Breathe. Good job. No!
I started working even more at the climbing gym, setting routes with my friend Tyler, and I don't think that you can get a job more fun than that. I spent a lot of time with my family, going on little trips and hiking in the mountains, and I met some new people as well. Overall, I just lived life to the fullest, and I'm just so grateful for it.
Hydrate or dehydrate, my guy?
I don't want to die just so I'm a high place.
True. Chug, 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 chug.
Keep the volume down. Of water, not music.
Okay, wait, I caught my queen, so you don't get
Why do you keep
instant
catching
death.
that?
And what is that? Why don't you just chill?
Now you saw it, now you didn't.
Like that movie.
I set out to read at least one book a week during the summertime, and I ended up doing just that. I felt my mindset start to change with all the different perspectives that I was learning from. I went from being solely focused on this idea of delayed gratification and the David Goggins type mindset to really balancing it out with a Buddhist presence philosophy influenced by Thich Nhat Hanh and Jack Kornfield. Overall, I just felt so content to be right where I was in just about every moment, which leads me to this idea that I developed over the summer. I would ask myself, is there anywhere that you would rather be right now? Would you rather be with anyone else or doing anything else? If my answer was no, I was right where I wanted to be. Live with no regrets, I told myself, because you don't want to be stuck in France wishing that you were back home in the summer doing something that you didn't do. And man, am I grateful for the way I thought back then, because if I didn't think like that, right now it would be a little more difficult. As the summer came to an end and my departure for France kept creeping closer and closer by the day, every moment just seemed to hold so much value. I know this is a weird thing to say, but I feel like it's how I would have spent my time if I knew I was going to die in 2 weeks. That's pretty beautiful, and I think it's how we should always try to live, but surely sometimes it can be difficult. During those last weeks, I felt nothing but gratitude. I'm not kidding. I felt no nerves, no sadness. I don't even know how to describe it, but I was just so happy, and I felt ready to move on to another chapter of my life.
No. Tyler, wait, Tyler can come because he's bringing me climbing tomorrow, so we need the energy.
Oh, yeah. Let's see here.
Okay, this is awkward.
I don't want a video while I do this.
On Thursday, August 31st at 9:40 p.m., I hopped on a flight to France, knowing that the next time I step foot in the United States will be 10 months later.
1, 2, 3.
I want to describe how I was feeling in the moment and remember the feeling clearly. I just didn't feel. Was I excited? Yes, of course I was excited. But it wasn't an exciting excitement. I was just kind of chill. Nervous? Nobody believed me, but the answer was still no. I've been saying, no, I'll be nervous later. I was still not nervous. I don't even know how I can describe how I was feeling besides how I just did. It was just kind of an observant state. I think that I was extremely present and felt the levity of the moment. It is a really odd feeling when you've just said goodbye to everything and everyone that you've ever known for nearly a year. And I think I was just soaking it all in.
You want me like a dog.
The flight was anything but comfortable, and I had a dude put his head on my shoulder when his girlfriend was right next to him, which was not funny in the moment, but became a funny story. Another example of this is how I got absolutely no sleep for 45 hours straight, and I was exhausted when we arrived in Paris. But now that state of exhaustion just reminds me of like another time, and it's pretty funny to think about. Over the next few days in Paris, I met so many people my age who come from different countries and just want to see what's out there in the world like me. It was truly an eye-opening experience and really fun to just stay in Paris with a bunch of people that I'd just met but already had built close relationships with. That Sunday, after seeing the likes of the Eiffel Tower and the Seine River, I took an 8-hour train to Toulouse, where my family for the next 10 months picked me up.
Good to see you.
Welcome. Hello, Jack. Non, mais fais de la pub. Ben oui, vas-y. And this is Sarah here. Roxanne and Shade Cousine.
The greeting was a mix of emotions, and everyone was so excited to finally be together. But when I look back, one thing that really stands out about the whole day was when we got in the car and we started to talk, I realized that I was absolutely screwed. I was unprepared and I was going to quickly have to adjust to being stupid. Just like that, my ego took a shot to the head, and I just had to accept it. The first day of school, I was still adjusting to the time and my exhaustion took over. I pulled the most unconventional Jack thing, sleeping through the alarm. I woke up just 7 minutes before I had to leave for school. It all worked out, but it just shows you how out of whack I felt for the first time here in France. I've never been more exhausted. Even now, I feel tired all the time, and it's just all this language learning and constant brain work. As I got to enter school in France for the first day, I finally did feel some butterflies in my stomach. No longer could I be the best, I found out quickly. It was no longer possible for me to be the quote-unquote smartest in the class. I was going to have to learn to fail, and I was going to have to learn with being okay with being stupid. It was kind of a slap in the face to the perfectionist that I grew up being. When I was younger, I always strived to get perfect grades, win awards, be the smartest in the class, never get in trouble, be the best on the field, and have everyone like me all at the same time. That was my life as a kid and in my early teenage years. I don't really know where this tendency came from, and it's not something that I resent either. This mindset that I adopted early on was the fuel for a lot of the actions that compounded to make me who I am today. But in essence, this perfectionism drove me to work my absolute hardest in everything. However, when I would fail, I would get really, really frustrated, and it would just all explode. I had to learn that perfection is not always possible. Over the last year, I'd come to understand this concept a lot better, but France was really the nail in the coffin, and never have I understood this concept better than I do right now. The first few weeks in France were some of the most challenging of my life, if not the most challenging. I was constantly fatigued and trying my hardest not to get frustrated when I understood absolutely nothing around me. Adjusting to the school days ending at 6 p.m. was difficult as well because it felt like there wasn't enough time for me in the day to do all the things I wanted. When I got myself to the climbing gym, occasionally it was a blast, but during those first few weeks, the bike rides there would often take over an hour due to me getting lost on the way, so I really didn't have a lot of time. These weeks full of failure were absolutely amazing, and I never let myself get down. I was so excited to be on this adventure, and this challenge is exactly what I had sought out. After about a month, I started to feel more comfortable in my environment. The language was improving so I could get closer to friends and family, and it just made my life so much easier. However, I was still out of my comfort zone nearly all the time. I just got more used to it. Learning how to accept that you are being judged nearly constantly for standing out and not speaking well is just so important, and when you can genuinely let it go, it feels like a whole new freedom. I've noticed something with all the past exchange students that I've met. They're all so themselves, and it's not a coincidence, I'm finding. You have no choice here. One huge part of my time here has been my friends. I'm so lucky to be a part of a friend group of 3 awesome guys here, and I've just had a blast getting to know them. At school, it feels like everyone is my friend, honestly, and I'm constantly stopping to say "ça va," and that people love. It's hard to explain everything about this trip abroad in this short part of this video, as it really feels like a whole year in itself, and sometimes it feels like a whole different life. It's interesting to balance my relationships here with the ones that I value back home, and finding time to honor both my solitude and my need for talks with family and friends is something I'm still working on. I've had some moments here that are just so amazing, and my time alone in the city takes the credit for some of the best moments of my life. However, I don't want to make it all sound amazing. I've also had some low moments where I've missed people and I've struggled just failing all the time here and being exhausted. But overall, I'm just so grateful for the experiences that I get to have at this age. All the experience I have in front of me as well. My 16th year here on this earth was truly special. I feel as if I grew more than I even knew was possible, and I experienced more than all my other years combined. Yet, at the same time, it flew by. This video is dedicated to my 16th year life and tells the story of me finding who I am within this year, as well as giving me closure to embark on a new journey into the next year. Bring it on, 17.
Yeah, that was awesome. I'm so dirty. Oh, I want to watch that before I do it again.